We are listener supported. One Radio Network. Good morning. This is OneRadioNetwork.com. The telephone number is 888-663-6386. Email patrick@OneRadioNetwork.com.
Okay, here we are, part 2 of our little show here on February 12th, 2018. Well, this will be fun. He's a nice fellow. His name is Brad Johnson. And Brad, he channels a multi-dimensional consciousness, Adronis. And this began back in '08, I believe, where he was introduced to the energy of Adronis through the process of automatic writing. And Adronis identifies himself as a fifth density humanoid consciousness existing within the star system of Sirius A. Wow. So we generally talk to Brad, and then he kind of gets hooked up with this state of consciousness with Brad Johnson. Brad, are you there? Good morning.
I'm here, Patrick. Thank you for having me on again.
Well, it's our pleasure. How are you, Mr. Brad?
I've been doing really, really good. Just been going through a lot of new shifts and changes. Moved to a beautiful island here in BC called Salt Spring Island recently.
Wow.
Just been doing a lot of events and sessions, and working with Adronis a lot as well too.
Yeah.
Doing some videos as well too for the YouTube channel I have on my website. So it's been busy. I've been keeping very, very busy, but I'm happy to be here today.
Yeah. What's your main website?
It's newearthteachings.com. It used to be realitywhisperer.com, but I've basically changed the brand. And so now it's known as newearthteachings.com.
Yeah. So I'm really curious. So you channel this, and it is a state of consciousness. Is that a correct way, do you think, to put it?
It is. Yeah, absolutely. Because really all we can... Yeah, exactly. All we can really do is just perceive it as consciousness in that way, as my physical body isn't changing. And, a lot of people who are very much into the physical aspects cannot see Adronis in that way. But there's behavior changes, and there's a lot of shifts that are happening when I'm going into that particular state. So it is definitely an altered state of consciousness. It is definitely tuning into another aspect of one's own subconscious. And this aspect of one's own subconscious would reveal themselves as Adronis.
So when you say one's own subconscious, but this state of consciousness, do you think is separate from Brad Johnson's state of consciousness?
It'd be kind of like a different channel in that way. As if you're looking at a TV channel, in one channel there's my personality, and if you flip to another channel, then there's an Adronis personality in that way. So it's like we are basically a TV set in that way, but we're basically just operating on different channels.
Different channels. So how does this affect you personally, Brad? I'm real curious about your own spiritual growth and your insights that you get just whatever you do when you're washing the dishes or driving your car, whatever. Can you talk a little bit about that? I'm curious.
Well, it's basically helped me a lot more with greater clarity. It's really shown me a lot more to reality than I ever thought possible. And really doing this now for about 10 years with channeling Adronis, it has really just given you a whole new shift, a whole new look in regards to what reality is all about. It's no longer a curiosity of quote unquote, are we alone in the universe, right? Because that was actually always a question that annoyed me all the time, even when I was younger. And I said, are you kidding me? Look how much universe there is, right?
Yeah.
But being able to get an understanding about how you are connected to all things and how everything is connected back to you, and how you are able to access all of these aspects of your subconscious. I mean, it's the most beautiful thing there is. And so through me, I just started to understand more about the universe. I started to understand more about life. I started to understand more about deeper levels of philosophy and connecting to different dimensional realities, all just through consciousness. So I can't even really describe what has happened to me in that way, other than it's just something that has really benefited me in all the ways possible. And I work, again, pretty much on a daily basis with lots of people. And I see how they are changing as well, too. Because I'm not the only quote-unquote channeler on the planet. There's a lot of other people that are starting to do it. There's a lot of people that are just working with their own intuitive abilities. They're empowering themselves. They're working together in regards to who they are. And we're always going to go through challenges, but we're looking at those challenges on a very harmonious level, and we're realizing it's all part of us shifting into the authentic aspect of who we are.
The authentic, yeah, what a great word. But you've definitely seen, according to your website, a real increase in the popularity and the interest in this kind of work with different events you have around the world.
Yeah, it's starting to get out there a little bit more, and I'm happy to hear that. I just keep doing what I do, and that's really all it is. I do this. Yeah, exactly. I do this because this is who I am, and it's what I love. And people are now starting to notice that I do this, and a lot more people are getting attracted to it, and I'm very happy for that. And this is, again, just all part. I always like to evolve what I'm doing. I don't just constantly stick with the same thing all the time. I do something for a certain amount of time, and then I'm stimulated to bring it to another level. And so whether that's doing some alternative media, or going out even into the mainstream media if possible and sharing some aspect of this information, that's what I do. And I always just work to tweak myself in a certain way to continue to complement the information as it comes through, as it's ever evolving too.
Does the mainstream media can they get their arms around this whole idea of channeling and how this works? Well,
if I were to explain it the same way as I do with my clients, they'd be dumbfounded, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd have too much of an idea about what's going on. So I really have to simplify it in a way. But that's the great thing to do, is you want to make sure this is very, very simple. But basically, in that sense, getting their heads around someone who can channel, it almost just turns into like a Ripley's Believe It or Not type situation, right? You're, oh my God, is this true? Is this, then it goes into very, very deep analysis. I've done a TV show last year just relating to doing what's known as the Tummo technique, which is an ancient, the Tummo technique, Tummo. It's an ancient Tibetan Buddhist Shaolin monk practice as well too, where you would basically ignite your inner fire, and you're being able to go out into extreme conditions of cold and being able to keep your body warm. And so I demonstrated this, and again, it was all just presented with very strong ways of science from the national TV network, and saying, well, how did you logically do this? How was this scientifically done? I said, I don't know. I did it. I do it. So I'm not too big on the big scientific explanations. To me, that's really boring stuff. I just like to go into what it is that I'm doing, and if people want to figure it out scientifically, they certainly can. But to me, it's being able to feel what you're doing. It's being able to understand that you have the capability to do this, and that's what's really going to catapult you. If you try to limit this in the way of intellectualism, you basically condition it and you taint it in a way.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that everything you do, whether it's channeling, whether it's writing a book, whether it's painting a piece of art, you don't have to try and intellectualize it, because that just makes it stale. Is just really enjoy everything that you're doing and put feeling into it, because feeling is what's going to help you understand the universe. It's not intellectualism.
Yeah, well said. Well said. And there is a part of us, I think, which I like to call soul, that just kind of knows stuff, and you look and you see and you kind of know it, and you don't even have to think about it. And if you think about it, it just gets more complicated, like you were saying, right? It's just like,
exactly.
Yeah, it's like you get into that mental realm. Well, isn't the fifth density of Adronis, that's above, can we say that would be above the mental plane anyway, if we have, just to say, for example, if we're talking about astral, causal, mental, sub-etheric, the fifth is more of a non-dimensional or non-dualistic plane, isn't it?
Well, he's actually in the sixth density.
On the sixth density.
The sixth density is still an astro-etheric plane in that way.
It's astral. Okay, I thought it was above
all that.
Yeah,
there's an astro-etheric aspect to it, and there's also the causal reality to it as well, too. So the causal, in that sense, really does not hold time the way we understand time to be. It would basically represent the result of an event. So basically, for example, if someone won the lottery, then basically we would go right into the causal aspect of someone winning that lottery and not having to hear the story about how they won the lottery, right? So this is basically kind of it's kind of, again, a component of astro-etheric causal reality to where he exists. But he is able to see pretty much every reality that he wishes. because it's kind of like looking into what he calls spheres of consciousness. And so he operates very non-linearly. And so he's able to go into our morning, he's able to go into our evening, he's able to go into our afternoon, and being able to look into these particular aspects. But again, only certain things can be shared with another person that wouldn't infringe upon their own free will, because it's for us in this reality, from what we have signed up for, to understand continuity of events so that we can learn from them.
Brad Johnson is with us. Messages from Adronis. So do we want to kind of hook up with Adronis now and chat for a few minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll just let everybody know how it works just briefly. I basically just go into, again, a slight altered state of consciousness. It's kind of a semi-trance state. It's almost like a daydream state. And I basically just do some chanting as well, too. This is just helping me to align and to center to Adronis' energy. And then Adronis will come through. Some people will notice in that sense quite a big shift in the voice as well. And then he'll come through, and any information we want to talk about, he'll be able to do that. So I will go ahead now. It'll just take a moment or two, and we'll get started.
Okay. And I can offer the listeners, if they'd like to email Patrick at oneradionetwork.com with a question. Okay.
Okay, here we go. Terra Soul Star Sirius Adronis. We are here. At this time, we bid you greetings and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to Patrick. Thank you, and how may we assist you today?
Well, thank you very much. I get the feeling that there's a lot of, can I say, people going through a lot of really big changes, really karmic things on all levels in physical reality. Do you have any insights on that?
Well, you could say that that's basically what's happening, simply because everything that has represented your culture has basically, shall we say, adapted itself, molded itself in this particular way, where there would be an aspect of self-destruction. Now, the self-destruction does not have to be violent, but basically what it's entailing is that it is allowing one to basically deconstruct what they felt reality was. And basically, as you understand your own modern day system as it exists here and now today, then basically this is what's known as a self-destructive mechanism, simply because it is inorganic. It simply does not relate to the natural course of life itself. And so therefore, those of you will know that this is something that is not natural. And because it has been building up for many, many, many decades in that way, now it has reached a culmination where it can no longer hold that particular energy of that which is unnatural. And so therefore the idea of what is natural is being in nature, is working together, is sharing with love, is allowing cooperation and communion and harmony to therefore come together. And if there has been any particular opposite aspects to this energy, which again has occurred upon your planet for a great deal of time, it builds itself up. And as it builds itself up, it therefore reaches a chain reaction. And through this chain reaction, this is what causes each of you individually and many of you collectively to come together and therefore purge this energy that no longer serves. And as you are now purging this energy that no longer serves, this initiates a span of change to which you are now a part of.
So the purge or detox, if you will, is a necessary component of change sometimes.
It's inevitable in that way, simply because if you are continuing to follow something that does not represent your own natural state of being, it will be opposed. And that is being opposed by the aspect of your mind in entirety, by the aspect of your body, by the aspect of your heart, by the aspect of your spirit. All of this is basically saying, no, it's attempting now to get back into natural order. And so that is what many of you are experiencing. You're realizing that you have to put a great deal of effort to try to have any particular form of condition into feeling that this particular type of system works for you. It is a great amount of effort. It basically exhausts a great amount of your physical energy, of your mental energy, of your emotional energy, and of your spiritual energy. Your spiritual energy gets into the effort of feeling religious. Your mental energy gets into the effort of feeling logical. Your emotional energy feels the aspect of feeling demanded upon. Your physical energy feels that you need to exhaust it with work. So again, this is all part of and parcel of these energies, therefore being exhausted. It is an unnatural system that you are a part of. And because you are part of an unnatural system and seeing how your body reacts in such a system, you know that this is going to lead to a chain reaction. Therefore, that's what's taking place right now, as many of you are now sharing your feelings, purging this energy out, and redeveloping a system that is complementary to yourselves, which is currently in the works.
So it could be said then, we are in this unnatural system, though, for a reason.
Correct.
Just to learn that this is
to
not who
purify
we really are.
your connection,
Yeah.
to purify your connection to light. That's basically why you're in such a system, because you're volunteering yourselves to go very, very deeply into the trenches of shadow so that you are able to move yourself and catapult yourself into light. So therefore, all of this effort of unnaturalism is in that sense a great compliment to yourselves, because you are seeing exactly everything that does not relate to yourself that purifies your connection to light.
Adronis, is there any special components or modalities about planet Earth as far as the opportunity to grow?
Well, that's basically what Earth represents altogether, is that she is a planet of growth. She is a planet of great teaching in that way, and that she has volunteered to give birth to the human race in this way. She knew all along exactly what type of quote-unquote disasters would be happening upon her surface, and she willingly did it, because she would basically say, if my children decide that they must harm my body in order for them to grow, I will do this unconditionally. And that is how the earth is with all of you. She loves you unconditionally. And even if that means that she has to put her body on the line so that you can go through your great shadows of change, then that is exactly what she has done. And so this is, again, all part and parcel of what you are learning. And it's also the reason why many of you are still here. Because if the earth wanted to, she could completely eradicate you without a moment's notice. And so the whole idea is that she has never done such a thing, because you are her children. Just like a mother who unconditionally loves her children, even though the children may be abusive at times, she will never do such a thing. She will always be there for her children, so that she has allowed a space for them to learn and to grow together.
If you'd like to ask a question here or comment, Patrick at oneradionetwork.com. Talk about what you see going on in the outer worlds of the, whatever it be, geopolitical, financial, climactic, and all these things that are vying for people's attention these days.
Well, they're basically on the way out, really all of them. But basically, in that sense, they're attempting to discover a harmony. Once something is in harmony with you and it is able to change, you'll forget about it. And that's basically how it works. So you have to look back into points of your own life. If you saw that there were certain events that were very, very important and very drastic in your situation, but you were finally able to make peace with them and they no longer affected you, what happened to those events? You forgot about them because they returned back into subtlety. Well, that's all that's happening here on a collective level, is that many of you are still working together to discover a harmony, to bring back the aspect of a peaceful nature relating to the systems that you have just mentioned. And so throughout the years, it's still going to take some time, but again, all of you are attempting to cooperate in being able to discover a state of exchange that many of you can therefore offer your goods, your services, your products, etc., to where it is not creating any particular form of animosity relating to class or rank. lower class, middle class, upper class, etc. Basically, there would be the aspect of one class altogether, and that represents a community, that represents cooperation. So basically, you are still attempting to learn how to move past this financial system that you call fiat, because you have still gained such a state of addiction to it that it's still holding some particular form of rapport with many of you. But when more of the shift of people begin to transcend past the fiat currency, you'll start moving into alternative aspects of equal exchange. And so that is basically where you're heading in the years to come. Now, basically, the aspect of those particular old degrees of people in power are no longer a factor in your reality. Basically, you refer to these as power elitists or cabal members in that sense. They have basically surrendered. And so they are no longer a factor anymore. But basically, in that sense, is that you are working together in being able to shift yourselves past that old paradigm to what they have left behind and being able to move yourselves into new horizons. So you now have the capability to do this. There is no longer that, shall we say, black gate that is keeping people confined anymore. That black gate has now taken off its lock, and now people are able to push that gate open. And that's really where you're going right now as a species. So through your geopolitical arenas, your politics, your finances, everything happening in regards to climate upon your planet in that sense, yes, this is all going through an immense amount of change, an immense shift in that way. There are going to be celestial events that will be taking place within a number of years here that will basically shift your particular planet into another dimensional reality. So basically, many of you are moving from a third density reality to a fourth density reality. And again, this is what's going to create this immense shift. As you become aware of allowing more shift, more change of shifting coming together into your reality to happen, this is your own degree of realizing how you're moving from one dimension to another. Those who welcome change will be the ones that move into fourth density. Those who oppose change and feel that they still want to be here and try to control everything remain where they are. But they're going to have a very intense period of being able to go through that because the earth is changing, and that's non-negotiable. And so the whole idea is that you can change with the tide as where the earth wishes to take you, or you stay behind, and basically this is where you get the most friction.
So what advice can you give to the souls listening to you this morning when they have some real say thoughts being about against something or feeling like people are controlling them, the things things they don't like, and what I'm saying, yeah.
You all have to understand that those particular aspects are attempting to help you let go of something you're holding on to possessively. And that's why people come into your life and feel that they're very controlling, because they're only shouting a voice to what you have aligned to in regards to your own nature of control. Because you decide you want to control something, or something needs to be a part of you possessively, you will therefore attract certain people within your life who are very controlling, very demanding, and very possessive as well. It's all a reflection back upon yourself, because there is no outside to yourself. Everybody that is a part of your reality is a subconscious mirror, a subconscious expression about how you're feeling about yourself. So this is why we have quote unquote bullies in our life. Because we are constantly feeling victim. This is why we have controlling people in this life, because we feel we have to control and hold on to certain forms of aspects to ourselves that define us. It is all an aspect of identity. And so the whole idea is being able to bring the softness in and being able to soften those degrees and letting go of the controls. If you're holding and grasping on to something so tightly, you need to talk to yourself about, why are you holding on? What is it that's causing you to hold on to this possessive, controlling instinct? Well, if I feel I lose it, I'm going to lose my identity. But losing your identity is not a quote-unquote bad thing. It's the idea of that when you're letting go of that aspect of possessiveness, you see something of a grander scale unfold. You see your light coming together, because all you're doing is you're holding on to a small crumb of your personality and feeling that's the only thing that there is to you. But as you let go of that crumb, you're now opening yourself up to a universe of possibility within yourself. So it's being able to learn how to let go, how to feel that you are now boundless, and you are no longer shackled by a particular idea, because it would be no more different than comparing a crumb of a cookie to the entire universe that you understand here and now.
Here's an email from Amy. She's in New York. I desperately want a meaningful, loving relationship. I go on dating sites. I try to get out and try new things, and I'm just not getting anywhere. What is it that I need to change, in your opinion, in my life?
It is the reflection of the value that you see for yourself. If you do not see yourself in a state of high value, then basically this is what's going to create certain forms of levels of manifestations where others are not going to be able to see that value in you either. It's also the idea of the desperation of feeling that you need somebody else to complete you, and that is one of the biggest illusions there is. It is fine that if many of you want to have complementary partners, many of you do, but you're realizing that you are complete yourself. And we have basically told many is that if you truly want to develop this nature of partnership and intimacy, become romantic with yourself. Develop a self relationship and harmonize yourself and feel that you are able to accept who you are. As you accept who you are, now you're going to start radiating all of this light where many people will start coming towards you because you're seeing how much you complement yourself. As you are in a state of self-compliment, therefore others will be in that complementary state with yourself. If you constantly race outside of yourself, going to these dating sites, going to these other galleries, etc., of where you can meet other people, then that's basically telling you that you're inadequate. And thinking that I desperately need somebody outside of myself. I need somebody to complete me in that way because I'm inadequate, because I have no sense of security with myself, because I don't trust or honor or even love myself. I have to get somebody else to do it. Then therefore, this is where you're going to struggle, where you may not be able to find a person, or if you do find a person, it'll be someone who will greatly mistreat you because you are not treating yourself with that love and respect. So this is, again, understand that everything, every single thing that happens within your reality is a mirror reflection of yourself, and it isn't anything else. So basically, if you're feeling down in the dumps and you're looking at the mirror reflection of the universe, what do you think it's going to show you? It's going to bring you people who are also feeling down in the dumps. It's going to bring you situations that do not become successful because you're feeling too down in the dumps. This is how the catch-22 of the universe truly works. It's a living mirror for yourselves. So when you're feeling wonderful, when you're feeling loving, when you're feeling complimentary of who you are, you're feeling that brightness. Now that brightness shines throughout the mirrors. And now these new complimentary, wonderful people will start coming into your life because of how good you feel about yourself, how loving, how trustful you feel about yourself will bring about those loving, trustful people to you. It is all a mirror. Always has been, always will be, period.
Okay, here's an email for you, sir, from George. He is in Ontario. What does Adronis think the chances are of some kind of nuclear event with North Korea?
Slim to none. Understand that much in regards to the aspect of North Korea's involvement pertaining to nuclear weapons has been more so of a fear program than anything else. It is not something that is actually looking to be tangible. So basically the whole idea in that sense is that this was all part of an old plan that was attempting to create the aspect of the beginning point of a World War III. But because much in regards to the cabal has recently surrendered, then the aspect of this plan will eventually fizzle out.
So do you feel like most of the geopolitical things and maybe bird flu, swine flu, I don't know, Fukushima, that these are all fear-based, fear porn, if you will?
Yes, they were all man-made concepts.
And this then controls people.
Fear. Yes, correct. When you basically have a person in fear, when they are basically in a state of panic, they are much more susceptible to the state of suggestion. In fact, many of your psychologists will agree to this, that when they are very much in a state of deep panic, deep obsessive aspects of fear, they will basically say, what do I do? What do I do? Tell me what I need to do to be safe. And now they will allow suggestions to come together that will again be subtle, and then for they feel they have to spend, make a lot of money and spend a lot of that money into a lot of other products and into, again, manufacturing industry that they feel they need to purchase to feel safe. And so it's all part of a plan in being able to submit your obedience to the aspect of corporations, and then therefore allowing the corporations to quote unquote run amok through your own fear, where you are basically submitting all of your finances towards their own goals of manufacturing.
Mm-hmm. What is your big picture take on what you see going on, souls in a body, and this thing called dis-ease and healing? Give me your insights on this, Adronis.
Well, dis-ease is all caused by emotion. That's the whole idea. Emotion begins at all. So therefore, if one is basically very distressed and depressed about themselves, they have no particular action whatsoever to heal their body because they're still very much contained in their mind. Humans can get trapped in their minds, quite obviously. And when that happens, their body becomes neglected. As their body becomes neglected, the emotional states to what they're feeling basically creates these apertures, these holes within their own auric field. And therefore, they become susceptible to certain forms of toxins, or shall we say, microbial bacteria, etc. And this therefore generates the aspect of certain forms of diseases because the attention of the host is too much into the mind of themselves, and they're not paying attention to their body. And so their body will go through heavy states of emotional atrophy, leaving themselves wide open and exposed to certain toxins, as previously aforementioned.
What would you recommend for folks that do go to a doctor and they get diagnosed with something, I mean, really kind of tough, cancer and things like that? What would you recommend? How would they proceed from that moment?
Everything has the capability to be healed. But basically, what we would suggest for everybody is being able to be willing to work together with your own emotional states, because emotions lead to trauma. And basically, what's causing a lot of these particular forms of discrepancies altogether is traumatic events that have occurred within your life. And because this trauma has caused you to come back so much into your mind, and you're basically caught in a feedback loop based upon that trauma or attempting to bury that trauma with excessive emotion, then basically this is what brings your body into compromisation. So it's the whole idea right now that you are working with your traumas, you're working with your emotional states, and you're healing those aspects. You're bringing them back into a state of transcendence. You're bringing them into a balance. Therefore, as your traumas and your emotions become harmonized, you're now bringing your focus back into the body. Now you're therefore eating properly. You're eating again organic-based foods, wild-based foods that are, again, giving you all the particular form of supplementation that your body requires. You're exercising regularly. You're allowing yourself to work together in mental and emotional strength, and this is going to lead back into a state of natural recovery. It is your excessive emotions that are, again, linked to trauma that keeps you impaired. And this is basically where doctors get all their money from, is by keeping you emotional. So when you basically have a diagnosis, what does that do? That creates fear. Oh my goodness, Mrs. Smith, you have cancer of the rectum, you have cancer of the lungs, you have leukemia, etc. Instant fear. And so, okay, what can I do to get rid of this? Well, just start paying this and paying that and paying the other thing. Do you see how the program works again? It's just another manufacturer. So the whole idea here is that many of you have become so addicted to this aspect of diagnosis that you feel that your fear itself will therefore submit all the money to these aspects of manufacturers that are in the medical field. And therefore you're paying all this particular money out of fear, rather than realizing you have the capability to resolve this all yourself. There's nothing you really even need to take. There's nothing you really need to feel that you need to invest in other than yourself. And being able to work with your traumas, work with your emotions, and harmonize them into the point where you are now fully aware of your body, being able to bring positivity, love, kindness, and cooperation with yourself, starting to exercise, starting to eat all the natural organic foods that you can, and again, allowing your body to be replenished, going into meditation, harmonizing your body in this way, seeing yourself of the purity of that vitality. Your own mentality of what you focus on is more powerful than any pill you can ever take. It is more powerful than any product that you invest in. Your focus, your mentality, what you put your attention to is the most powerful thing in the universe, period. And so when you put that focus into pure health and pure vitality, that's what's going to change everything. That's what's going to bring you into this great transformation. So you're working with your feelings to serve you together in complement. How joyful you feel, how wonderful you feel, how loving you feel, how happy you feel. That's the energy that you focus on. And when you're focusing on that as much as you can per day, these particular illnesses will be gone overnight, based upon how deeply focused one is pertaining to those positivities.
Do you think it's necessary to identify clearly past traumas to be able to release them, or can they be released, in your opinion, just without knowing exactly what they are?
Well, it's basically all about understanding. If you understand why the trauma is there, again, if you try to look at this scientifically, you'll be running a hamster wheel endlessly. But if you are being able to look at this and understand that this is why this trauma has happened, and all you're doing is embracing that younger version of yourself that was traumatized, you're sending that version of yourself love. You're bringing love to that person. It's not about forgiving another person. It's about forgiving yourself. Because you are the one with this trauma. If it was something regarding a best friend, that best friend isn't going through this trauma that you are. You're going through it. That aspect of the best friend is a hologram. They represent the catalyst that therefore brought about the co-creation of this trauma. But you're the one feeling this trauma. This is why we say you're the only one here. This is your universe. Therefore, as it is your universe, only you can feel what it is to be loved, what it is to be hated, what it is to be feared, what it is to be traumatized in your own unique way. So as you start to work together with harmonizing those aspects of trauma, they now start to reach themselves into a state of transcendence, and you're no longer dwelling on them anymore. They therefore become forgotten. And now you're moving into a state of change, because what does change do to you? Change allows you to move into new heights because you are no longer reminiscing about an old story. The story itself has concluded, you've harmonized with it, and now you're moving forward. And that is how you are transforming yourself into unchangeable truth. It's all just being able to align to your truth and discover that your truth is unchangeable, because that is all that is. That is the authenticity path. It is change itself that allows something to become meaningless. So when you change, that aspect of it now therefore becomes meaningless. And now you're able to move into the purity of your own truth, which is the liberation that you are aligning to.
Caitlin is in Charlotte. I think that's North Carolina. And she said, I just don't get this abundance thing that people talk about. I've been to workshops, I've read books, and I just can't seem to have enough money to do what I want to do. Does Adronis have any insights into this?
Again, it all goes back into the previous person who was talking about romance, who was talking about going into dating sites in that particular way. If you do not see yourself valuable in the way that you are allowing financial abundance to come through to you, then you're not going to be able to bring that abundantly into your life. Basically, the abundance, which is the fruitfulness of a manifestation, moves itself into lack. And that's basically what you're creating, is lack of abundance, because you don't feel that you're worthy in being able to bring something of great value that you can therefore express to exchange in that way. And that's why you may feel stuck. This is why you may feel, I don't get this whole state of abundance. Well, abundance does not always represent a positivity. It can represent a negativity. Because again, as we've stated, you can see it as lack as well. I don't feel I know what to do with my work, or I don't feel I know what to do with my money. I don't make money, etc., etc. Look what you're empowering through your focus. Your focus is constantly going about what you can't do, about how you feel stuck, about how you feel that you can't get out of this rut. And so that's what you're going to empower. You're putting the abundance of negativity upon yourself. So abundance is just fruitfulness. It is the ability of being prolific in that way. So what are you going to be prolific at? Are you going to be prolific at suffering, or are you going to be prolific at loving? And it all has to come through you. And again, the reason why many of you struggle is because you're constantly looking outside of yourself for answers, and that will get you stuck. It is about being able to put trust into yourself, to realize exactly what can I do to feel complimented by my being, to start performing work and exercises and aspects of expression that complement me to where value itself can be as high as it possibly wishes, because I see myself in good value, because I see myself loving everything that I do. Well, look what you're putting out to the universe then. That's the whole idea. So abundance can work both ways here. You can either be plentiful with the idea of love, or you can be plentiful with the idea of anguish. The choice is yours.
So if it's just now, there is no past or future, this idea that, is it almost we have to fake it till we make it in a way of feeling abundant, or in this moment, this everlasting nowness?
You're never faking it, because if you're faking it, then you're being someone you're not.
Then you're not being authentic.
So the whole idea in that sense is that a person can say, I'm going to be in a gigantic mansion. I'm going to live in a gigantic mansion.
Right.
If they try to fake that, it'll always be like a mirage in the desert effect. You'll feel that you're running up to that mansion. As soon as you get closer, it'll suddenly disappear and turn into desert plain. So the whole idea here in that sense is that if you're faking it, you're not being authentic to yourself. If you basically say, I would love to live in a mansion, well, you have to ask yourself, is that what's going to really fulfill me? Because really, in that sense, all that is an interest. All that is a carnal desire, really. So basically, the whole idea is that the faking it itself comes from the idea of these empty desires. And that becomes the aspect of the faking, because you're not tuning into your natural self. Go into your own inner mansion. Go into this beautiful estate within yourself where all the rooms are filled with beautiful wisdom. And that is your true inner mansion. So the whole idea here in that sense is to become authentic to yourself and being able to feel what feels authentic to yourself. And that empowers you into new directions within your life, rather than pretending to be someone you're not, which is the aspect of the faking.
So this authenticity of who we are as spiritual beings, it comes up a lot in what we talked about this morning.
In a way, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's all about being authentic. It's all about being able to be honest with yourself, honestly expressing yourself, honestly moving into areas that are you. But because many of you are so addicted to this physical reality and to the people in it, you feel that you have to go outside of yourself for these answers, and there is no outside. These are all just subconscious reflections of yourself that you're playing with. Certainly, they are soulful beings, many of them, but they are, again, only becoming the version of what you need to hear about yourself. So when you feel that your mother, in that sense, may be a very negative person, she's telling you this because she's helping you to grow into a deeper way of loving yourself. That's the character that she fits the bill relating to your reality. Your father may be the sweet, innocent man who never wants to have a confrontation, and that's the part of you that feels you have a hard time standing up on your own 2 feet and being naturally assertive. Do you see how this all cross-connects? It all goes back into your Hollywood movies about how all of these people, these characters, are subconscious aspects of ourselves, and that there are conflicts that are taking place because you're looking very deeply into the psyche. We would basically say that the majority of all Hollywood movies are like that. You're looking into your psyche. You're looking into certain patterns of characters, in that sense, that fit the bill relating to what we're going through. The jealous husband, the angry wife, the sweet, innocent daughter, etc. All of them are archetypes. And that's all you're playing with here. Those Hollywood movies are indeed a part, an aspect, a play of what you're going through in your own way, looking at archetypes pertaining to people within your life, the mother, the father, the best friend, the uncle, etc. all of them, different archetypes telling you about yourself. When you harmonize to the message that they convey, they will either have two things happen. One, they will change into another personality that fits the bill about what you're going through. Two, they will depart from your reality and someone else will come in to substitute a new characteristic that you're playing with, beginning to understand more about your subconscious. And that's all this reality is. It's one big multiplayer video game that you're all playing, looking at all these aspects of your subconscious to understand who you are authentically. That's its design.
Adronis, thank you so much for spending some time with us. We appreciate it. Wise words indeed, and we appreciate your time here this morning.
Well, we thank you very much, Patrick, and all of your listeners as well, too, for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius. We now return to the conduit. We'll speak to you again, as now is forever. All is one, and love is essence. Goodbye for now. Okay.
Well,
thank you, Patrick.
Good stuff, Brad. That was fun, man. He's it's just great information. Really, really well said. Brad's website is newearthteachings.com. When's your next, do you have a live event around you want to give a little plug to?
Yeah, there's one coming up next weekend. It's a energy healing weekend. It's myself and a friend of mine named Jason Quitt, and we're going to be doing some discussions on universal energy healing. I'm going to be talking about energy seals and working together with the power of emotion. It goes back into aspects of like ancient magic and alchemy, and looking into, again, the power of your feelings, the power of your thoughts, and being able to work together in new developments of advanced healing in that way. And Jason Quitt will be talking about universal energy healing. He's done some really great, amazing work with Qigong and looking into ancient aspects of Qigong as well, too. So that's going to be very exciting. But I also do private sessions for people, too, if they want to talk to Adronis as well. Then again, you can just go to my website. I do private sessions there. I also do Akashic record readings as well, too, looking into your past and future lives. And, of course, I have my healing system, which is an instant emotional healing system. That's light circuitry attunements. So you can check out that at newearthteachings.com.
It's all at New Earth Teachings. Now, the March 3 a gathering that you have in Seattle, different from what you just mentioned, the healing?
Yeah, it's called Leveling Up regarding the quantum field. So a friend of mine is putting that event on, so I'm going to be a speaker at that. So if you're within the Seattle, Washington area, you can check that out. That's happening on March 3rd, and we're going to have some really amazing speakers as well too. So that's an all-day event, and March 3rd. So if you want to come out and meet me there, you can do that. You can just go to my website, and all the details are there. You'll find it on the homepage.
And the New Earth, the Universal Energy happening is February 17th and 18th. And where's that?
Yes. That's going to be online. So that'll be a webinar.
That's going to be online. Oh, cool. That's going to be cool.
Yeah.
So where'd you just move to before we go? You're out. It sounds great. Are you on an island?
Yeah. I was previously in Victoria in BC, and then I moved to Salt Spring Island. So it's the largest of the Gulf Islands here in BC. So it's just very beautiful paradise. I'm right on a lake, and just nature is all around. And it's very, very quiet here, so that really helps with a lot of the work that I'm doing.
What kind of weather is up there? I've never been up there.
It's sunny. Yeah, it's a beautiful sunny day. There's still a little bit of cold air because we're still going through our winter, but it's very much similar. If you're living in Seattle or Bellingham, etc., then it's pretty much identical weather patterns that we have in like Victoria, Salt Spring Island, etc., or Vancouver. So we're basically very similar to how Western Washington gets its weather. So do you have real cold winters up there? I wouldn't say really cold winters. I'd say maybe 1 degree, 0 degrees Celsius in that way. Basically, if you're going to the East Coast, that's where they get the coldest. Mm-hmm. But we're not that bad. No. So BC is actually a state or a province in Canada, right? A province, yeah. Mm-hmm. In Canada. Oh. Yeah. So is that a whole thing with citizenship and all that you have to go through to do that? Well, I'm Canadian. I'm Canadian fully, so I couldn't really tell you. I see. So you've been there the whole time, yeah? Yeah. I was just always curious. I know it's a beautiful part of the world. So it's British Columbia, right? British Columbia. That's right, yeah. Cool. BC, Canada, West Coast. Well, Brad, thanks for being here, brother. We appreciate it. Good work, good stuff. Very timely and wonderful information that Adronis puts out and you do. So we appreciate your work. Great. Thank you for having me on again, Patrick.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you soon.
Our pleasure, sir. Brad Johnson and